Fox Sports.
We are the Horse. We are the Lion.
Well, the Reds have been very fortunate weather-wise here in Pittsburgh these 3 days, and it's very atypical of the weather in early May here at the Steel City, but so far so good. Meanwhile, on the field, things have gone very well as well. Win Tuesday, a win Wednesday, and they go for the sweep. They try to bring out the brooms here tonight on Fox Sports Ohio. And a pleasant good evening, everyone, and welcome to Reds Baseball. Jim Couch along with Chris Welsh at PNC Park in Pittsburgh. The Reds try to do something that they have not done here in Pittsburgh since May of 2010, and that is sweep a series over here. And if they can get that done, 6 in a row to start the season for the first time since 1900. Meanwhile, Chris, a very interesting contrast in starting pitchers tonight. We have the youngster Anthony DeSclafani, who has made 10 career starts, and the veteran A.J. Burnett makes number 410.
Yeah, 25-year-old and a 38-year-old, if you want to break it down according to age. You know, when Anthony DeSclafani was pitching in the 9 and under league, that's when A.J. Burnett made his major league debut. But here's the way it lays out. 25 for Anthony DeSclafani. A.J. Burnett now 38 years and 4 months. DeSclafani, 10 career starts under his belt. How about A.J. Burnett making tonight start number 410 in his major league career? And this is where it gets kind of quirky, because Anthony DeSclafani has yet to throw 1,000 pitches in the major leagues. By the way, A.J. Burnett, that number is real. 41,922 pitches in the major leagues. Yes, they count those kind of things, and those two are going at it tonight.
Well, Anthony DeSclafani nowhere near retiring. A.J. Burnett has announced this will be his last season, his 18th in the big leagues. We'll take a break. Coming up, the Reds and the Pirates. It was a sweep for the Reds in the first series of the year. Can they get it done a second time this season with a victory here tonight?
Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By Chevy. Check out our award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. I'm Jim Day. The Reds going after yet another 3-game sweep against the Pirates, and that is rarefied waters. Check out our Elk and Elk storylines from tonight, and you will see that the Reds 5-0 versus the Pirates to start a season series. That's the first time since 1985 that's happened. Looking for their second sweep of the Pirates in a season. First time since 2009. And going for the first sweep here in Pittsburgh since May of 2010, which is a very good season for the Reds. So a lot on the line. However you shake it up, the Reds would love a W. Jim Kelch and Chris Welch.
Jim, and these two pitchers squaring off for the second time this year. They met on that Thursday afternoon on April the 9th back at Great American Ballpark. That's the game in which the Reds won it in the bottom of the 9th, and the line drive to right, Chris, by Marlon Byrd, which could not be handled out there by Polanco.
Exciting game, no doubt about it, but it seems like every game that the Reds and the Pirates have, there's a little bit of history. Last night we had theatrics with the Joey Votto incident going last night. You know, and you're just wondering, you know, if this Pirate team is going to wake up offensively. That's what they've talked about here in Pittsburgh. They have not done it yet. I've always said, hey, it's not who you play, it's when you play them. Right now, the Reds are playing the Pirates at the right time because I don't see this offense that they have being quiet for very long. Hopefully the Reds take one more, they get out of town, and they put their concentration on the Chicago White Sox. But first, A.J. Burnett and the Pirates tonight.
Yeah, A.J. Burnett has the best ERA in the National League at 1.45 as he enters tonight's game. And here's the lineup that he will face, put forth by Brian Price and brought to you by Meyer. Billy Hamilton will lead off. Marlon Byrd becoming comfortable, it appears, in that second spot. Then Joey Votto, Todd Frazier, Brandon Phillips, and Jay Bruce in the middle. Christopher Negron making his third straight start at shortstop. Brian Pena does the catching for the 25-year-old Anthony DeSclafani. Here's A.J. Burnett, you mentioned earlier, 38 years old and pitching in his final year in the big leagues.
Well, he says it's his final year, and he thought maybe last year was his final year. He had an option with the Philadelphia Phillies at the end of last year. He declined, the team declined, and then he decided, well, I'm not pitching again. I feel pretty good, and he is pitching very well. You can see that earned run average, best in the National League, as you said, Jim. And he's a guy that has kind of reinvented himself about 5 or 6 times as a major league pitcher. When he first broke into the major leagues, A.J. Burnett used to dial it up there in the mid to high 90s consistently. And he had always had a moving fastball and a hard slider or curveball, whatever you want to call that pitch. And he never really had much else. He wasn't a guy that really adopted much in the way of changeups, but now he's got good control of that curveball, and you're going to see if he's on his game, Reds hitters chasing that breaking ball down the dirt all night long because that's where he makes his money.
Well, let's take a look at the Pirates defensively behind A.J. Burnett, brought to you by Ford. They'll line up like this. Starling Marte, Andrew McCutchen, and Gregory Polanco from left to right on the infield. Josh Harrison, Jordy Mercer the left side. Neil Walker and Pedro Alvarez on the right side. Chris Stewart gets the start behind the plate in this game for A.J. Burnett on the mound. A.J. is making his 6th start of the year, and he has not allowed more than 2 runs in any start. He's only allowed 1 run in his last 14 innings, and yet the team is 1-4 in his 5 starts, and he has just the 1 decision, and that was a loss at Detroit on the 14th of April.
That's the Johnny Cueto syndrome. You don't get any runs when you pitch.
Well, here we go now from Pittsburgh. 28th game of the year. Finale of this 3-game series. Burnett against Hamilton. First pitch are called strike, and we are underway at PNC Park. Billy at .214 with a couple of home runs. 4 runs batted in. On base last night with a hit. He has 3 hits in this series. .83 comfortable degrees here. I mentioned at the top of the broadcast we have been very, very fortunate weather-wise here in Pittsburgh in early May to get the kind of weather we have had. You took a look at Pittsburgh down the road 10 days away before the team came here. It called for rain all 3 days.
Anytime you get in and out of Pittsburgh without a rain delay, you think it's a good thing.
Billy on the ground by the drawn-in first baseman. Walker to Burnett. Nice job by the Pirates defensively. Neil Walker to A.J. Burnett, and they retire Billy Hamilton.
Well, the key to this, if you're A.J. Burnett, because you know Billy Hamilton is booking it down the line, is to get there and don't panic. He's got his eye on the second baseman Walker, and he gets right near the bag. He keeps his eye on the ball and then finds the baseball, or finds the bag at that point. He's probably covered first base, you figure, in his 17-year career 400 times.
Well, he doesn't break off the bag immediately. Billy beats him there, doesn't he?
Oh, you're absolutely right. I mean, and you don't take the long angle. You go right to the bag with Billy Hamilton going down the line.
And that was former teammate Marlon Byrd. These two played together here in Pittsburgh, as far as Byrd is concerned, at the end of the 2013 season. That marked the second consecutive year that A.J. Burnett had been here in a Pirate uniform, and he did a pretty good job for them over the course of those 2 years in 2012, 2013. Helped them get to the playoffs in 13, marking the first time they had been there in over 20 years. Last year led the big leagues in defeats with 18.
Well, there's no secret as to how A.J. Burnett is trying to pitch Marlon Byrd. I mean, he's just throwing it up and he's throwing it in, and Byrd is not able to get the bat head on that pitch. You know, he uses his imagination now, Burnett does, to get hitters out. I mean, when he tops out at 91 or 92, you've got to either have pinpoint control or creativity, and there's a little creativity right there with snapping that breaking ball off.
Marlon tried to hold up and could not. He's a strikeout victim. Marlon Byrd really hitting the ball well in this series and on this road trip. 7 hits in 18 at bats with 3 home runs coming into this game on this trip. So here's Votto, and I don't understand the boos coming out for Votto because he was ejected in the game last night.
Well, he ran into an umpire and he was a bad role model. At least from the eyes of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I think from Joey's eyes too.
Yeah,
and I'm glad that he mentioned that after the game. He sounded remorseful and contrite about it, and it's important to do that because he doesn't want to be branded as a guy that, you know, loses his temper and does that kind of thing on a routine basis. It was very out of character for Votto.
And when the reporters went up to him last night, he said, before any questions, I want to make a statement. And the statement was, paraphrasing what you just said, I have a responsibility to act a certain way on the field. I crossed the line, and that was wrong of me to do that. On the ground, Alvarez, and he will take it himself. Votto retired, and so are the Reds in order in the top of the first. DeSclafani, and here's the lineup that he will face. According to the Pirate manager Clint Hurdle, Gregory Polanco, Neil Walker, Andrew McCutchen at the top. The middle features Starling Marte, Pedro Alvarez, and Josh Harrison. On the bottom 3, Jordy Mercer. Chris Stewart gets his first start of this series behind the plate and batting 8th. The pitcher will bat 9th, A.J. Burnett.
Now, DeSclafani has had 5 starts, 3 of those quality starts, but still that earned run average is very tidy at 2.0.
Last time out, that was against Atlanta earlier on this road trip. He did walk 5 in that game. One of those was an intentional walk, but if you look at his last 2 starts, he's allowed 9 runs, 5 earned in 10 innings. There's been a noticeable little drop off from where he was those first 3 starts.
Well, it's hard to pitch at the level that he was pitching at early in the year. I mean, he was one of the most unhittable pitchers in the league, along with Johnny Cueto. So, I mean, you're eventually going to find your level, and the Reds hope that his level is very good. I mean, they traded away a pretty good pitcher to get him. They did a fine bit of scouting to know what you have in DeSclafani, and I think that he's got a very high ceiling. But the question is, how much of your expectation do you have for him over the course of the entire season? You remember, he's a 25-year-old rookie, and you continue to have to remind yourself of that. You're not looking at, you know, a seasoned veteran out there.
And we touched on it during the open. He'd made 5 big league starts coming into this year. He's sitting at now number 11 tonight, so he's a long way from being a seasoned veteran. Broken bat, base hit into right by Polanco. That's going to get him extra bases. He'll go into second standing with a leadoff double for the Pirates here in the bottom of the first. 9th double of the year for Polanco.
Well, he didn't want to get into a base-off ball situation, so a 2-2 count. He fires in a fastball, and Gregory Polanco ends up hitting enough of that ball to get it down the line. I think in DeSclafani's last outing, when he pitched against the Braves, they had a bundle of left-handed hitters in that lineup. And I think that he threw a lot of his pitches that were sinking fastballs and just missed off the plate on the third base side of the plate. Was afraid to kind of come in there. There aren't nearly as many lefties in the lineup here tonight for the Pirates.
Yeah, that start on May the 1st down in Atlanta, he had 5 lefties against him and 2 switch hitters. So 7 of the 8 came up there from the left side.
And I think that can work on your brain a little bit if you haven't seen lineups like that very much. And normally in the minor leagues you don't. But you can see the difference in the opponent batting average between lefty and righty there. Righties, that's when he gets to use his slider a little bit, and it's an awfully good pitch.
Dealing with Neil Walker, who lines it into center. Polanco had to wait to make sure. He's going to run through the stop sign, and it's a bad throw in from Billy Hamilton wide to the third base side. Polanco scores. Pirates jump in front 1-0, and Polanco basically ran right by Rick Sofield, the third base coach's stop sign down there.
Boy, did the Pirates ever luck out on this one, because he did run by the stop sign, but only after he slowed down. Take a look at the left part of your screen. You see the slowdown. He had the stop sign up, and that ball was up the third baseline, or else Gregory Polanco is nailed at the plate.
RBI number 10 for Neil Walker. Solid contact made by the Pirates second baseman. Pittsburgh jumps in front 1-0. We talked last night when they did not score in the 9th inning that they had scored in only 5 innings in their last 53 through the game last night. And in those 5 innings, they'd only produced 1 run in each of those 5 innings. They get on the board first in this one against DeSclafani. Walker on the run. Safe at second.
Pretty good effort right there by Brian Pena to throw out Walker, who got a big jump right there. DeSclafani gives up his 5th stolen base this year without any throw-outs. And just like the Reds, the Pirates are not taking any chances and waiting around several pitches to try to do their running game.
Pitch was a ball, so it's 2-0 to McCutchen.
You know, with all the video and all the data available, the next area that is going to be exploited the most is the running game. Who can run on who? What are your moves? Where do you hold your glove when you throw to first base? Where do you hold your glove when you throw to, or when you go home? How high is your leg kick when you go one way or another? And there are teams of people underneath stadiums looking at video for these major league teams all the time. and they're just trying to find out what little tendencies you have. They'll go all the way back to what you did in the minor leagues, and I'm sure that's what they've done here in Pittsburgh to not only evaluate what DeSclafani's done this year and last year with the Marlins, but beyond that in his minor league days to see if there's any tendencies or any little giveaways on about being able to hold runners.
He has walked McCutchen, so the first 3 Pirates have reached here in the bottom of the first.
This would be a good time really to have a visit to the mound, either by Brian Pena or by Jeff Pico, just to kind of settle him down a little bit, just to let you know that, you're not alone out here. No big deal. There's only 1 run in right now, and this is what you have to concentrate on. And you don't go out there and tell him to throw strikes. You go out there and say, all right, you got Starling Marte. He likes the ball down out over the plate. Let's throw your pitches right here, and let's get him to roll over for a double play. Give him something positive to think about, and hopefully that'll work.
Pirates have rolled into 10 of them this year. Here's Starling Marte, 2 on. Nobody out and a run in. He has hit into 2 of the 10 that the Pirates have bounced into so far. Ball 1 low.
I think what it looks like to me with Anthony DeSclafani, he's trying to make the perfect pitch. And sometimes in the first inning you feel like you have to do that, and that's why earned run averages in the first innings are high sometimes. You don't carry over what you had in the bullpen.
Marte leads this Pirate team in home runs with 7, driven in 18 at 253, has 1 hit in this series, and that was a home run back on Tuesday night in the 2nd inning against Michael Lorenzen. Turned out to be the only run prior to tonight that the Pirates had scored in this series. Into left center field. Bird chasing. Bird gonna get there. Runner will tag from second and move to third. That is Neil Walker. A long, loud out there off the bat of Starling Marte. Take a look at the Reds defensively, including Bird out there in left field, who just made a nice running catch. Bird, Hamilton, and Bruce across the outfield. Defense for the Reds brought to you by Ford. On the infield, Frazier and Negron left side, Phillips, Votto right side, a battery of DeSclafani and Brian Pena. So here is Pedro Alvarez. Double play is still in order for the Reds, thanks to the fact that the runner at first base, McCutchen, was unable to tag. Tapper to Votto, runner coming home. Joey throws it to the plate to Pena, and now they have Walker in a rundown. They will run him back toward the bag, and Frazier puts on the tag. That goes 3-2-5. Good play by Joey Votto to get that ball home. Not the best of plays there by Walker.
Well, not a really good offensive play on the part of the base runner either. I'm not sure what he thought was going to happen with that high bouncer. Whether he really thought that Joey Votto was going to go for a double play on that, no way. Walker was about halfway down the line, and what happens is you get into no man's land. So a nice defensive play by Joey Votto, and still only 1 run in.
Yeah, worst case scenario, if Walker stays put at the bag, Joey goes back to first base or maybe throws to second, and they still have a runner at third base. So now 2 on 2 out for Josh Harrison, and if DeSclafani can get him, he comes through a shaky first in not bad shape at all. Harrison did not start, did not appear in the game here on Tuesday. Did start batting 7th at third base last night, went 0 for 4. Moved up a notch, hitting 6th in this game. Starts tonight at 180, and he's 0 for his last 14. Umpire back there tonight is Angel Hernandez. You'll remember Hernandez from the game against the for the Reds, in which he called 2 balks against Johnny Cueto. Runner going to third, and a strike. No throw. McCutchen gets his first steal of the year.
Now, that may be an indication that his knee is feeling a little bit better than people have speculated around Pittsburgh. No throw because there was nobody covering, and the reason why is that you don't want Todd Frazier to leave his position too early and then have a little ground ball dribble in the hole where he just was.
Well, McCutchen was quoted in the paper today as saying, "My knee is not the reason that I have not been playing well."
Foul, get foul.
Just foul down the right field corner. Bruce chased it, and luckily for the Reds, that thing sliced just to the right of the line. He said the knee is not the reason he has not started. He says he can see everything coming together, but he's just a little bit off right now.
That's why it's important to take advantage of playing the Pirates when Andrew McCutchen is hitting $180. Because I guarantee when you see him again in June, his average isn't going to be down around there. And in the meantime, if he does get his knee healthy, he will be back about top of his game and among the elite players in the game.
Ben Hurdle has offered to give him a day off here and there, and McCutchen has declined that, saying that would actually be worse for my rhythm. I really need to play, swing the bat, get in there, try to get everything together. Slowly toward Frazier, going to be a tough play. Todd gets it, throws it wide, but on the bag is Joey Votto. Harrison is out, and the inning is over. The Pirates settle for one in the bottom of the first. Nice stretch by Joey Votto to complete this play. 3-1 here in Pittsburgh. To the top of the second, back to the mound goes A.J. Burnett. And Chris, you were talking about the Johnny Cueto syndrome, and here it is.
Well, that's lack of runs, and Johnny Cueto has been living that the last few years here for the Reds, even though he did win 20 last year. But A.J. Burnett, lowest in the league, all of Major League Baseball this year, I guess. Make it the National League with a 1.45 run support. You don't get too many wins with that.
Well, he's got 2/3 of that right now. One run. And the Pirates lead 1-0 as Frazier leads it off, then Phillips, and then Jay Bruce here in the top of the second.
You know, Burnett's been around enough, and the Reds have seen him enough that you have a pretty good feel of who hits him well and who does not hit him well. And there aren't all that many players in this lineup tonight that have had good success against Burnett. Votto is one, hitting .348 with a home run, and Brandon Phillips is another. But aside from those two, Burnett has pretty much had his way with a lot of these Reds players in the lineup.
Frazier, for instance, 2 out of 14 career-wise against Burnett. Bird 4 for 19. Bruce 3 for 29. Past the mound and into center, and a base hit for Todd Frazier. So the Reds get the tying run on a leadoff single here in the second.
That's getting something out of nothing right there. One of those flailing swings that we see Todd take an awful lot. I mean, look where that pitch was. Chris Stewart went down to block that ball, because had Frazier not hit the ball and put it in play, would have hit the dirt.
So here's the hot hitting Brandon Phillips. Brandon last night 3 hits, drove in a run, 5 for 8 with a run batted in this series, and he's up now to 316. He's had a good road trip overall, 9 hits and 18 at bats. Remember, that takes into account the fact that he missed the first game down in Atlanta due to illness. Did well down there in his hometown area of Atlanta, and has continued that here in Pittsburgh. Good wood on this ball to center. McCutchen at the edge of the track is there to make the catch. Frazier goes back to tag, going to be close, and they've got him at second base. McCutchen, a strong throw from the warning track into Neil Walker. Ted Barrett and Todd Frazier talk about it.
Well, all the way at the base of the wall, and you had to figure something like this was coming if you're Andrew McCutchen. And boy, oh boy, as we take a look at that replay right there, it appears that Frazier got his foot in there.
It really does, Chris.
Just a moment before that tag was made, although Ted Barrett is right on it. Maybe he tagged him there first on the foot before he had to get him on the leg.
I think in that angle you could see he tagged him on the leg area just before his foot hit the bag. So
no sign of a call for replay in the Reds dugout.
No. That goes down as a double play. Phillips flies deep to center, and a strong throw, credited an assist to the center fielder Andrew McCutchen. Now Mercer will throw out Jay Bruce on the first pitch that Jay sees. And just like that, we head to the bottom of the second.
Park. Let's check out our IGS bringing the energy after last night's 3-0 victory here. Most shutouts at an opponent's park since 2009. The Reds now 10 here at Pittsburgh, including the Homer Bailey no-hitter that you're looking at right here. At the Brewers, 9. but 10 here at PNC Park, boys. Obviously, a shutout's not in the cards tonight, but they would certainly take any victory, however they can get it tonight, and complete a big old sweep.
Yeah, I wondered if you have a broom with you tonight, Jimmy. You're usually all over that kind of thing.
I do not. When I'm on the road, I typically try to confiscate one from the grounds crew, which never goes over well in a road city. I don't want to be presumptuous enough to bring a broom. Those that believe in jinxes would believe that would be a jinx.
I just noticed that there was a drugstore across from the hotel. I thought surely you would be over there purchasing a little whisk broom.
I am going to have to find like a little one that you can travel, I guess. But I like the big manly brooms, Jim Kidd.
Naturally. Hamilton on the run on this ball, and he's got it on the warning track off the bat of Jordy Mercer. First out here in the second. That'll bring Chris Stewart to the plate. Chris, the backup catcher here to Francisco Cervelli. Both former Yankee catchers. This is the third year, check that, second year in a row that Stewart has been here. Prior to that, a couple of years wearing the Yankee uniform. Starts the game at 250. He's driven in 3 runs. The Pirates wearing these camouflage uniforms tonight. That's honoring the Wounded Warrior Project. They're wearing those every Thursday home game this year. Tapper to the first base side of the mound. That is handled by DeSclafani, so Stewart is out. To the plate, A.J. Burnett.
DeSclafani really has a lot of side-to-side movement on that two-seam fastball. And he can really eat right-handers up by getting right in their kitchen with that. The problem, though, is sometimes he gets too much side to side and not enough down. You get your fingers on the side of the baseball, and it starts really moving so much and moves out of the strike zone. So the key for most guys who like to keep it down like DeSclafani is to keep your fingers on top.
Burnett high and deep to left. Bird going back. Bird near the wall, and Bird hauls it in. A.J. Burnett making a bid for his 4th career home run. He comes up a bit shy.
I'm Jim Day with Zach Cozart still out. Christopher Negron been manning the shortstop position. Now, Brian Price told us yesterday that many in the organization feel like shortstop is his best position. In the minor leagues, he was so good. Check out this picture. Former broadcast partner of one Jim Kelch, that would be Matt Andrews, the voice of the Louisville Bats, posing with a very nice T-shirt they had made up. Spidey with his number 17. A la Christopher Negron, making lots of web gems at shortstop on what seemed like a nightly basis down there. He has been very impressive all around. Needs to hit more. We all know that. But a guy, you want to talk about a perfect utility man that can play about anywhere, including the outfield? That's Christopher Negron. He's got his own T-shirt, Jim Kelch.
That's a nice looking T-shirt, and we should throw out the name also of Nick Evans, the former media relations man in Louisville, who actually designed and made that T-shirt available. So he did a very nice job on that. Those are attractive T-shirts. We may have to get our hands on some of those.
Better believe it. Especially if the price is right. I know you'll be able to swing a pretty good deal.
There's only one price that's right. Here is the aforementioned Christopher Negron to lead it off. We were having an interesting conversation, Chris, between half innings. They had a trivia question on the big board here as to how wide is home plate. The choices were 13 inches, 17 inches, and 21 inches. The answer?
17.
17, and you said that's white to white, not including the black.
Yeah, the black is actually not part of the plate. A lot of people don't know that, but you'll say, well, I want to throw that pitch on the black, and if you do, chances are you're going to have a call to strike. And only part of the baseball has to cross in that zone. The entire ball doesn't have to pass over the plate, just a portion of the ball.
That's good stuff right there.
It's always good to know the rules.
Yeah.
At least the basic ones.
Check swing and a strike according to Angel Hernandez. Christopher Negron did not think he went around, but he is the second strikeout victim of this game for A.J. Burnett.
Well, we said this early on that in all likelihood you're going to see a lot of Reds hitters trying to stay off of that curveball that he throws down, and chances are a lot of them aren't going to be able to do it because you see it so well and you think you can get on it, but he's got tremendous spin and a lot of break on that pitch, and it's been a great pitch for him for 17 years.
Well, he's 155 and 151 in his career with a 4.01 ERA. And then after a terrible year last year, lifetime ERA coming into this season of over 4. But here he is, as we talked about earlier, leading the National League with a 1.45 ERA this season. The Philly last year, the Reds did not see him, but boy, those 2 years prior to that, 2012, 2013, the Reds saw him 9 times in 2 years. He pitched pretty well against the Reds. Loves pitching in this ballpark. At PNC Park, he has a 2.69 career ERA. Three and one. How often do the Reds see A.J. Burnett? Tonight, the 18th time in his 18-year career that he has started against Cincinnati. That is tied with Adam Wainwright for the second most by active National League pitchers, and that's going to be an infield single by Brian Pena against the shift. He hits it the other way. We saw him do that last night, and he does it again here tonight.
Well, Brian looks like he actually is trying to do this. I mean, he's waiting. He's getting his hands inside, using it the other way. 3-1 count, figuring he's getting a fastball. Burnett tried to crowd him with that fastball, but nonetheless, Pena was able to get it to the left side of the infield. That's just smart hitting right there. That's essentially giving yourself up, but taking a chance that ball is going to be far enough over there that the shortstop can't get you.
So there's the tying run on with 1 out, and we expect DeSclafani to try to bunt here. Harrison coming way in. Anthony does not have a sacrifice bunt this year. Did not have one last year, so the next one he gets will be his first. Bunts twice fouls it. Now the question will be, will he be asked to try a third time?
Well, the last time he faced A.J. Burnett, he struck out 3 times. So why not ask him to bunt again? First baseman may not buy into it, and you still have a chance of getting the runner over and staying out of a double play ball.
Reds need a win tonight to stay 6 games behind the front-running Cardinals, who won today against the Cubs at Wrigley 5-1. So they take 3 out of 4 up there, and they're on their way here to Pittsburgh as we speak. 3-game weekend series against this Pirates group. DeSclafani is out. 3 bunt attempts, 3 foul balls, 2 men out in the inning. Remember to watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in True HD and over 400 mobile and connected devices with MLB.TV Premium. Every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Third strikeout of the night for A.J. Burnett. Strikeout number 2,400 in his career. The 41st in MLB history to reach 2,400 strikeouts. Congratulations to A.J. Burnett out of North Little Rock, Arkansas.
Seems like a long time ago, going back to 1995 when the Mets took him in the 8th round. He never did pitch for the Mets coming up out of their farm system. He was traded as a minor leaguer. But when you're drafted in 1995, that was the year that the Reds took Brett Tomko in the 1st round. And then Jason LaRue a few rounds later.
Walker throws out Hamilton, inning over.
So if you're still pitching after all those guys have come and gone, you've been around a long time.
Women's World Cup begins as Alex Morgan leads the U.S. women's national team against the best teams in the world in search of their 3rd World Cup championship. The only place you can see it, the 2015 FIFA Women's World Cup, is on Fox and Fox Sports 1, and that begins in just 30 days. Women's World Cup Soccer. Here at PNC Park, 1-0 Pirates. They come calling in the bottom of the third against Anthony DeSclafani. He gave up a run in the first. At a 1-2-3 second. He's actually set down 6 in a row since the first 3 Pirates reached.
Yeah, really, since all that activity in the first inning, you'd think he would have run his pitch count up a little bit. This is only pitch number 31 coming up, so he's been very tidy so far.
Polanco doubled into the right field corner to get the Pirates' first inning started, breaking an 0-for-11 stretch. Of course, they've done some changing around here in the last week or so with their lineup. Talking about the Pirates, the leadoff spot was Josh Harrison's most of last year and the first month of this year, until he simply wasn't hitting, wasn't getting on base. And so they go back to Gregory Polanco, who did some leadoff work for the Pirates a year ago.
You know, so far it just doesn't look like Anthony is as comfortable with the left-handers in the lineup as he is the right-handers.
Well, he walks Polanco on 4, his second walk.
Now, the one left-hander he took care of no problem was Pedro Alvarez, who went after the first pitch and got jammed on it. But Polanco hit a double off of him. He had a 4-pitch walk right there. Now you've got the other lefty in the lineup of the 3 coming up right here in Neil Walker.
Only switch hitter in the Pirate lineup, Walker, hitting only 133 at the start of the day. Batting right-handed, but 293. The side that he gets many more at bats. 82 from the left side, only 15 from the right side. I mentioned earlier the Cardinals won 5-1, so how about them now at 21-7, the best record in baseball. A Reds win tonight would leapfrog them over the Cubs and into second place. Cubs right now 6.5 back. Reds could win, they would stay 6 back. Only have the Cardinals ahead of them. This weekend's opponent, the White Sox, they were trying for a sweep of Detroit, but lost today 4-1. Runner going and a pitch out. They've got him at second base. Negron takes the throw from Pena. Caught stealing is Polanco for the first time this year. Rick Sofield holds up his hand down at third. The Pirates are going to look at this.
Well called by the Reds in there. I'm not sure if it was Jay Bell that's running that part of the defense or not, but they figured that Polanco was going to go early. And execution perfect by the Reds, even though the throw was high. With the pitch out, you've got a little extra time. And they decided that they're not going to replay it or review it.
Clint was standing at the top of the step of the dugout, waiting. Finally decided, as you said, against it, so Polanco leaves. He's caught stealing 2-6.
I mean, really, in this game, with both the pitchers out there not all that great at holding runners, you're going to see maybe a few pitch outs. Or you're going to see bench coaches on either side saying, all right, well, maybe we should pitch out here. And a lot of times, of course, you have to have good confidence in your pitcher to be able to come back and throw strikes.
Talking about the White Sox, they lost today 4-1, so that team the Reds will play this weekend. 10 wins, 15 losses on the year. Not what the folks in Chicago on the South Side expected going into this year.
No, a lot of people thought that they would be right there atop the American League Central Division. And off to a slow start. Their offense is the problem.
Their bullpen has been spectacular, hasn't it?
You know, the Reds are actually catching a break when you're playing the White Sox, other than the fact that they're not scoring a lot of runs right now. Although they did take 2 out of 3 against Detroit. That's pretty good. But they'll miss Jeff Samardzija. He'll be serving a suspension for a brawl that they were in with the Kansas City Royals. They'll also miss Chris Sale. a very talented left-hander who just pitched. So they'll get on Saturday Anthony Rondon, or Carlos Rodon, who is the youngster that was their top draft pick from 2014. A very talented left-hander. His bad luck day is the fact that he's facing Johnny Cueto. Michael Lorenzen will get another left-hander, John Danks. So in the course of about 10 days or so, the Reds will have seen a whole lot more left-handers than they did the first couple of weeks of the season running.
They'll get one at second and no relay throw from Brandon Phillips. Slowly hit ball by McCutchen. Negron makes the play. Walker's the second out of the inning. So McCutchen on, 2 out for Starling Marte. Marte hit the ball hard, but out into left field his first time.
You know, you're constantly measuring in baseball. You're measuring as a pitcher, you're measuring as a runner. How big of a lead can you get off the first base bag before it's bang bang over there? And that time, even though McCutchen went back head first, he still was back very easily. So now he's asking himself, all right, well, can I get a half a step more? And DeSclafani asks himself, is that the quickest and the best move that I have? So it's always a matter of adjustment right here. Not sure if this is still a base stealing situation for McCutchen. I imagine it is a 1-1 count, 2 outs. I mean, speed is part of his game.
Up until last year, he had never had a year in which he'd stolen less than 20. Last year, he had 18. He is without a steal going into this game tonight until he picked one up earlier.
Kind of a two-sided blade, really, when you've got a guy offensively as productive as Andrew McCutchen. Do you want him wearing himself out by running the base paths, going head first into bases? And the other part of it is that you want to try to pick a pitch in which you're going to get a breaking ball. And in this count, there hasn't been a whole lot of breaking balls thrown to Starling Marte.
And McCutchen is 28. He doesn't turn 29 until the postseason, early October. Hard hit balls fouled, but down both lines here by Marte. Tomorrow night, Jason Marquis against Hector Noesi. Saturday, Johnny Cueto against Carlos Rodon. And Sunday, Michael Lorenzen against John Danks. That's the lineup this weekend. Ball 4 on the 3-2 with a runner moving.
Boy, 4 bases on balls now in the first 3 innings.
A reminder, as you enjoyed tonight's game, look forward to bringing you a little bit later on our Miller Time moment of the night, brought to you by Miller Lite. Here's the visit from Jeff Pico, the pitching coach. We talked about the last time out down in Atlanta on Friday. DeSclafani walked 5, one of those intentional in 5 innings. 90 pitches in 5 innings in that game in a 4-3 Atlanta win.
Well, the interesting thing is that the scouting report on Anthony DeSclafani doesn't mention wildness. In fact, if anything, it says this guy has great command of his fastball. Last year for the Marlins, in his 5 games started, his 13 games overall, he pitched 33 innings and walked only 5 batters. So he's walked as many in one game this year as he walked all of last year pitching for the Marlins. Not that he was there very long, 33 innings.
And even prior to that in the minor leagues, he had no issues regarding walks.
So probably the conversation that Jeff Pico had with him was something mechanical they probably been working on in the bullpen between starts. Could be the one thing in your delivery that kind of locks you in and gets you back right.
In the air to center for Hamilton. Reds are going to take care of Alvarez and hang a 0 in the bottom of the 3rd. So it's not been pretty for DeSclafani, but Reds only trail 1-0. We'll focus in on Marlon Byrd, who will lead things off for the Reds here in the 4th inning and compare his April numbers to what he has done so far in the month of May. Big contrast, 169 in April. He's always been a bit of a slow starter, but boy, in the month of May, 6 hits in 5 games and a .375 average. Our T-Mobile game changer.
You know the power is going to be there with Marlon Byrd. The encouraging thing that you see from that comparison is the fact that his batting average is up. He's hitting the ball harder now. He's made a lot of adjustments. I mean, as a major leaguer, if you've got 14 years in like Byrd does, you've made adjustments each and every year, and many times inside of those years. One year you may be stooped a little bit more. Another year you may be standing a little bit higher in your posture in the batter's box. Maybe your feet are closer together one year, a lot farther apart another.
He's right near a .280 career hitter coming into this year. Hit .264 for the Phillies last year when he and Burnett were teammates.
Well, last year, scouts that have seen him play will tell you that his feet were farther apart, and he kind of had an uppercut swing, which accounted for a lot of home runs but a lot of strikeouts. So this year, he started putting his feet together even closer, thinking he's going to make more contact. Well, it got him a little bit out of kilter, so now he's kind of spreading his feet a little bit more, and so he's kind of met it in the middle, and that starts a snowball effect of confidence where you get a couple of balls hit hard, you feel good, you're getting in a good place with your bat every time a pitch is coming, and he looks like a different hitter to me. Although when you face a guy like A.J. Burnett with that tight knuckle curve that he throws, it can be a difficult assignment for any right-hander.
And we mentioned he came in having allowed just 1 run in his last 14 innings. That number now 1 in his last 17 as he faces the Reds here in the 4th. Be a big game for the Reds if they can get it, because this being the 7th game of the road trip, if they win tonight, they'd be 5-2 on the trip with 3 remaining, guaranteeing themselves no worse than a split of this 10-game trip away from Great American Ballpark. Of course, we've been talking a little bit about the White Sox. The Reds have not played the White Sox since '09 and haven't played up in Chicago against the Sox since 2001. They'll be up there starting tomorrow night. A night game, and a day game. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That is ball 4 on the 3-2 pitch. So the Reds have the leadoff man on for the 2nd time in 4 innings. Here's Votto, one of the guys Chris talked about earlier that has had success against A.J. Burnett. .348 with a home run at the beginning of the night against A.J. Double play ball. It's actually Josh Harrison who took the throw. That'll go 4-5-3 on the double play.
Well, the Pirates shift more than anybody, and here's an example of a ball being hit right into the teeth of the shift, but a player out of position. Now, I'm not sure you can ever say that about Josh Harrison. He's such a great utility player, but Votto jumping on the first pitch, 4-5-3. It's really a routine DP lane ground ball, and just like that, the Pirates have 2 outs.
Back to the full windup. A.J. Burnett with Frazier at the plate. Drive to left by Frazier. Does this tie this game? It does. Home run, Todd Frazier. His league leading 10th of the year. His 5th in the last 8 games, and we are even at 1 here in the 4th.
Now, A.J. Burnett tried to rush a fastball up and in on Frazier, and he was able to get the bat head to it. After flailing at one and getting a bouncer up the middle for a base hit, he gets the square part of the bat on this, and I mean, it goes a long way. You see where the catcher Stewart was, down and away, and that's just a case of a pitcher missing a spot and a hitter taking advantage of it.
A.J. Burnett had given up just 1 home run ball this year. That was to Joey Votto back in Cincinnati. He gives up number 2 on the season, and it comes to Todd Frazier. And he breaks a 3-way tie atop the National League home run board. Jock Peterson of the Dodgers, Adrian Gonzalez of the Dodgers, and Frazier went into today with 9. Dodgers won earlier but didn't hit one. And Frazier now leads the league in homers with 10. There's another solid piece of contact and a base hit into center by Brandon Phillips, who now has a hit in 9 of his last 10 games. Boy, he's making good contact.
Boy, he really is. You know, I think the further and further that Brandon gets away from that thumb injury that he had last year, the stronger your hands are going to be. Nobody but the hitter can tell you exactly how it feels with your hands and your wrist. And I think that's got something to do with it there. That and the fact that his timing looks right on.
So he's now the go-ahead run at first base with 2 out. This looked like it was going to be a nothing inning. Phillips is on the move. Quick throw down by Stewart. Bounces away from Harrison, and a stolen base for Brandon Phillips. For Brandon, that's his 4th in 4 tries. Brian Price said he thinks he looks quicker this year.
Well, he lost weight, and we made a lot out of that in spring training when he came in significantly thinner than he was last year, and said he felt better, and he's running better. There's no doubt about that. In fact, the Reds as a team are running wild, really.
It's 33 out of 35 this year in stolen bases.
I mean, there was a time when Brandon would see a lot of bases, but you've got to go back 10 years before that. I mean, in 2006, he had 25. In 2007, he had 32. That was his high water mark. But last year, he stole 2. The year before that, he only stole 5. So he has already eclipsed the 2013 number, or close to it. He may do it in this at-bat.
I'd like to see him sprint from second to the plate right here. That would mean Jay Bruce could come up with a hit. Jay won for his last 14. Has always had a tough time against A.J. Burnett. 3 for 30 lifetime. He takes a 4-pitch walk right there. Well, you were talking earlier, Chris, about the fact that A.J. Burnett has always been a guy who's given up a lot of stolen bases.
He doesn't really even care. I mean, that's the bottom line on it. You see what he did since the start of 2012, second in the most in the National League next to Tim Lincecum. I really don't think it bothers him in most situations. I mean, he routinely gives up 30 stolen bases a year.
This was an inning that started with a walk to Bird and then a double play ball on solid contact hit into by Votto. But the Frazier homer tied it. The Phillips single and steal put him in scoring position. Bruce draws the walk, and now Negron taps one right back to the mound. And A.J. Burnett comes out of the frame with just the 1 run allowed. But the Todd Frazier home run is now nationally leading 10th of the year. That's not at this game. Our T-shirt Tuesdays presented by Rice Krispies Treats. For all Tuesday home games, you can purchase a package of $25. Purchase a package, I should say, for $25 and get a Reds ticket and an exclusive All-Star themed T-shirt. Purchase your All-Star T-shirt Tuesday package today by visiting Reds.com/Tuesday. 1-1 game in the bottom of the 4th. Josh Harrison leads things off for the Pirates. Grounded out to third to end the first inning. Now 0 for his last 15 for a former UC Bearcat. Talked about the fact that he signed that contract while in Cincinnati during the opening series of the year. Josh Harrison, 4 years, $27 million. Takes him through 2018. All-Star last year. These two teams don't get together again for 6 weeks after tonight. Reds will be back here 23rd through the 25th of June for 3. And then be over here in early October to close out the regular season. Hard hit, but right at Jay Bruce. The leadoff man gone here in the 4th. So here's Jordy Mercer. One of the stories coming out of baseball today was involving the Boston Red Sox. They fired their pitching coach Juan Nieves today. Boston had the worst ERA in the American League, and the former Milwaukee Brewer let go in his 3rd year in charge of the pitchers out in Boston. I think Nieves is the only Brewer to ever throw a no-hitter.
I would not know that.
I'm not positive of that, but I believe that to be the case. Boston goes into action today 13-15, last place in the AL East. 2 seasons removed from winning the World Series in 2013. That hit by Mercer, the first Pirate hit since the 1st. And there's the ball cracked in the left field by Stewart. That's a hit. That's 3 hard hit balls in this inning now by Pittsburgh.
Well, if you look at the height of this pitch, you're going to see it right around thigh high, and that is a dangerous spot. When you're a guy that likes to keep the ball down in the zone like Anthony DeSclafani, getting the ball up doesn't mean you're throwing the ball around the letters. It means you're throwing it, instead of 2 inches below the knees, you're throwing it 2 inches above the knees. And that is a good hitting zone right there. Fortunately for DeSclafani, you've got the pitcher coming up, presumably going to bunt.
He hit one to the wall and left his first time as part of that 1-2-3 second. DeSclafani, he may have had a play at 3rd. He'll end up throwing on to 1st, and Phillips. Sacrifice goes 1-4. What do you think?
Well, he may have had a play, but it's not necessary to do that because you've got 2 outs right now. DeSclafani is very athletic. He gets off the mound quick. He sets himself. But a pitcher, in order to make this play, you have to decide before you field it where you're going to go with the pitch, with the throw. And sometimes it could be that the catcher is yelling first base, even though you feel like you can go to 3rd. But if this is your 2nd out, get the sure out, and then concentrate on the hitter coming up.
That hitter is Gregory Polanco, who has been on twice tonight. Double to start the Pirate first, a walk back in the 3rd. He had been 0 for 9 in this series going into tonight's action. Chance for the Pirates now to regain the lead here in the bottom of the 4th. He gets underneath it. Shallow center. Negron will handle it, and the inning is over. So DeSclafani works around a couple of hits here in the home 4th. brought to you by Meyer and by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on U.S. News and World Report's Best Children's Hospital. Good shot there overhead here at the ballpark. Roberto Clemente Bridge, the one on the bottom. In the middle, the Andy Warhol Bridge, and then the Rachel Carson Bridge at the top of your screen. 3 of them coming across the river, crossing the Allegheny River. 1-1 game now as we head into the 5th. 8-9-1 for the Reds. That means Pena, DeSclafani, and Billy Hamilton. Pena went the other way, singled against the shifted infield back in the 3rd. He's up over 300 now at 305. After that hit, he started the day at 293. One of 2 switch hitters in the Reds lineup. He gets ahead 2-0. Alvarez stays down on this ball, and the underhand flip goes to Burnett. Leadoff man is out. Make sure you stay with us after the game. In fact, stay with us after every Reds game for Reds Live postgame here on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. That will be the pitcher, DeSclafani. Tried to bunt Pena along back in the 3rd, but failed on 3 attempts. Rolls this one to the shortstop, Mercer. A.J. Burnett is just over 10 pitches an inning so far.
Well, which is very unusual for him. He's a guy that really only pitches about 6 innings. He did go 7 innings his last time out, but normally he runs his pitch count up there in the 90s to 100 in 5 or 6 innings. He throws a lot of pitches that tease you just outside the zone, but today the Reds are helping him out by chasing a lot of pitches.
He had a 1-2-3 first. A 3-batter second thanks to a double play. Looking to have a 1-2-3 fifth. He gets ahead of Billy.
He signed here in the winter of 2012. And before he even pitched his first big league regular season game for the Pirates, he injured himself in spring training, took a foul ball off the bat while he was in bunting practice, and he broke his orbital bone in his face. And they were worried it was going to set him back a little bit. It really did not. I think he still made 31 starts that year.
Yeah, I remember that story.
But what a way to start. Last year, he led the National League in walks and led the National League in losses. And tied the National League in games started. So in order to lose a lot of games like 18, you got to pitch a lot of games.
Ball hit hard at the shortstop spot, and Mercer will throw out Hamilton, and so the Reds go in order in the top of the 5th inning. 14th through the 17th, thanks to Reach Savings Magazine. For only $48, you can get 4 tickets and 4 Reds hats. Cheer on the Reds and save. For tickets, 513-381-REDS, or you can visit reds.com/4 for 48. That's the Giants in town that weekend series, 14th through the 17th. Neil Walker leads it off here in the bottom of the 5th. Drove in the only Pirate run back in the 1st. Walked, erased on a forced play back in the 3rd. So Neil Walker 3 hits, 9 at bats in this series. Gets himself another hit in the left center field, and the Pirates have the leadoff man on.
Boy, the first 2 batters in this Pirates order have really done a lot of getting on base tonight. Polanco's been on base 2 out of 3 times, and this is the 3rd time in 3 trips to the plate that Neil Walker has been on. So 5 out of 6 plate appearances, those guys have reached first.
That's interesting because in the first 2 games, they had reached base a grand total of 2 times. Yeah. Not the case tonight. Here's Andrew McCutchen. He's walked it into a force play. McCutchen had an 8th inning single last night against Mike Leake. It's the only time he's had a hit in this series. Except now, as he hits one down the line at 3rd, it may have ricocheted off the glove of Frazier, off the side wall. There goes McCutchen into second with a double. And the Pirates are in business here in the bottom of the 5th. 2nd and 3rd, nobody out.
Well, the ball hit very sharply, and again, the pitch up. That's a breaking ball right about belt high. So it's just one of those nights for DeSclafani where he's not finishing his pitches, getting him down in a good part of the zone, and the Pirates are beginning to center him.
How about that note? Only the 2nd extra base hit in the last 15 games for the former MVP Andrew McCutchen. Big chance here now for Starling Marte. He's lined out and walked in this game. Pirate leader in home runs with 7. Big chore ahead of him here for DeSclafani to get through this inning. Good pitch there, and he's ahead 0-2. Gets it in the air and the other way. Bruce backing up has to make the catch and come into second base with a throw. A sacrifice fly for Marte gets him his 19th run batted in. The Pirates regain the advantage here 2-1. Also tagged and moved up, so now with 1 out, Reds will bring their infield in against Pedro Alvarez.
Well, this is an unusual configuration. You don't see it very often where you see all 3 of those infielders in on the grass on one side. That's interesting look.
An odd alignment, isn't it?
Yeah.
And look at Frazier. He's on the line at 3rd. There was no one between second and third base as he now moves out. They are confident if he's going to make contact, Alvarez is going to pull this ball.
I'm not really sure why Frazier's over there so close to third base, except would they think that McCutchen would try to steal home?
Can't imagine they would think squeeze with Alvarez.
I mean, if Alvarez just lays a bunt down.
Not now with 2 strikes.
Not
but
with
earlier,
2 strikes, but I mean, you drive the run in, but that'll probably get the job done.
Hamilton going back. Hamilton near the wall. He'll jump. He's not going to get it. McCutchen will score. Alvarez has himself a double. And the Pirates, for the first time since the 29th of April, score more than 1 run in an inning.
Pedro Alvarez thought this ball was out of here, and he was in cruise control. This ball was hit high, had a lot of hang time, and you knew it was going to get a run in from third base. The question was it far enough to get out of the ballpark? And when Hamilton goes back, and as far as that ball ricocheted away from the center fielder, I think Bruce came over there eventually get that thing. A hustling player would have been on third. And that would make an awful big difference to the Pirates to have a man on third with 1 out rather than on second with 2 out.
Yeah, you could see him in cruise mode about halfway to second base. 5th double of the year for Alvarez. 13th run batted in. So the Pirates streak ends at 57 straight innings in which they scored no more than 1 run in an inning. They put a 2 spot up on the 29th of April at Chicago in the 9th. They don't score more than 1 run in an inning again until tonight, 58 innings later. Blew him away on that one. 2 out.
Nice pitch right there. He buckled up when he had to, and he got a strikeout. And the difference maybe is the thought process that Josh Harrison has with a runner at second base versus a runner at third base. At Pedro Alvarez, here's Alvarez after he hits that ball up the center field wall. Now, is that a guy looking like he wants to have a triple, or does he think he has a home run? I know he's a big guy, and I know he's not a speedster. But man, oh man, when your team is scuffling like they are for runs, and you take for granted that you think you hit the ball out of the ballpark, and it doesn't go out,
you got to believe that Glenn Hurdle will somehow get his message across there to Pedro Alvarez. DeSclafani now a strike away, putting an end to the bottom of the 5th inning. There's Hurdle on the right. Bearded one Alvarez on the left. Single to center by Walker started the inning. Double off the glove of Frazier and down the left field line by McCutchen followed. Starling Marte with a line drive sac fly to right gave the Pirates the lead again, and then that ball hit by Alvarez off the wall in center produced McCutchen, making it a 2-run inning and a 3-1 lead Pittsburgh. Off the leg to the shortstop. 1-6-3 retires Jordy Mercer, ending the bottom of the 5th. But the Pirates get 2, lead 3-1.
Major League Baseball history. Vote now for Hall of Famer Johnny Bench as one of the greatest living players. Hurry, voting ends tomorrow. You can visit MLB.com/franchise4 to cast your ballots. Winners will be revealed during the All-Star Game July 14th on the Big Fox, and there are your 8 choices. Bench, Concepcion, Eric Davis, Larkin, Morgan, Tony Perez, Frank Robinson, Pete Rose. The top 4 living legends. Right now the voting goes Rose, Bench, Morgan, and Larkin. If you don't like that 4, time to change it. Got till tomorrow.
How could you go wrong, though, with any of those 8? I mean, you really could not. One more day to vote through tomorrow. Will be interesting to see how it comes out for each team and how it comes out for all of Major League Baseball when we find out at the All-Star Game. Bird cracks this ball to left by the diving Marte. That's going to go to the wall. Bird's hustling towards second. He'll keep motoring on around to third, and he will get in there standing with a leadoff triple. Starling Marte took the chance, dove for the ball, came up empty, and the first triple of the year for Marlon Byrd.
Sorry about that, Jim. I got a little excited right there, thinking I might be seeing an inside the park home run. I'll tell you one thing about Marlon Byrd. He's not lollygagging it around the bases. He is hoofing it.
Tell you what, I watched him the whole way because of what we saw from Alvarez, and you are dead on.
Well, he never doesn't hustle. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's on defense or at the plate. He's playing it the right way.
Great chance now for the Reds. Down a pair at 3-1 here in the 6th. To, as a bare minimum, get one of those runs back. Votto has had a lot of success against A.J. Burnett. We talked about that earlier. 0 for 2 tonight. Right near 350 in his career. This will get the run home. Votto is out 4-3. Joey gets his 18th run batted in. And it's a 3-2 game. Votto gets the glad hand from his teammates in the dugout on the first base side. And here's Frazier, who tied the game in his last at bat with a home run to left, his National League leading 10th of the year. One big swing away from tying this game again. Tied for second most in Major League Baseball. Hanley Ramirez of Boston has 10. Mark Teixeira has 10. But then there's Nelson Cruz with 14. Playing in Seattle. To Harrison. Nice scoop on that ball. Frazier is retired. So after the triple, 2 ground outs. One of them produced a run, and now Phillips will bat with the bases empty. A run in and 2 outs. Phillips hit his last time. 1 out of 2 in this game. He's now hit safely in 9 of his last 10. He is the Reds' career hits leader here at PNC Park. Ballpark that opened in 2001. That hit, his last time up, is 88th here in Pittsburgh. And line this ball to right. After the triple by Byrd, Burnett sets them down in order. Turns with a doubleheader of divisional rivalries, beginning with the Royals taking on the Tigers, then the Braves squaring off against the Washington Nationals. Coverage begins at 12:30 Eastern on your home for baseball every Saturday, Fox Sports 1, and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Twilight time here in Pittsburgh. Beautiful shot of the Clemente Bridge there off to your left, and then heading into the heart of downtown Pittsburgh, right where the Reds stay when they're in town. That's the Allegheny River. Part of the infamous Three Rivers they used to have here. Three Rivers Stadium. The Allegheny, the Monongahela, combining to form the Ohio. You used to play at Three Rivers, right?
I did indeed.
I mean, that thing was right there at the end of Point Park, wasn't it?
Certainly was, and you could look up and you weren't really sure, except for the color of the seats in the stadium, whether you were in Philadelphia, whether you were in Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, St. Louis.
They all look the same.
All those stadiums, those multi-purpose stadiums, very much the same. Now everybody has their own little personalized stadium, and they say here in Pittsburgh it's one of the prettiest of all. Now we've got a great view from where we are up in the press box, but if you're sitting down at field level, you don't see the skyline like you do from up here, and I still cast my vote for Great American Ballpark.
Yeah, back in those days they called those the cookie cutters, didn't they?
They sold a lot of AstroTurf back in those days.
Yeah. J.J. Hoover, the new pitcher on for the Reds. Anthony DeSclafani, 5 innings, 3 runs, 7 hits, 4 walks, and a strikeout. He threw 81 pitches in this game. Pitcher spot for the Reds due up 4th in the 7th. J.J. working here to the catcher, Chris Stewart. Last time out for Hoover in Atlanta on the 3rd 4 days ago. A perfect frame. He gets an out here off the bat of Stewart to start the bottom of the 6th.
Well, he's had 5 good outings in a row, JJ, since giving up runs. He gave up a grand slam against the Milwaukee Brewers in Milwaukee. That was that game that went 16-10. The Reds ended up winning that ball game, but he has been unscored upon since.
That was the grand slam by Elian Herrera. The 3 grand slam game that night. Yeah. His ERA down to 4.22. He faces A.J. Burnett with 1 out in the bottom of the 6th inning. Pirates trying to snap a season worst 5-game losing streak. Reds trying to come back in this game and get 2 games over 500. Take a 5-2 record into Chicago to begin play tomorrow night against the White Sox. Polanco on deck. Full count now to A.J. Burnett from J.J. Hoover. Burnett, a career 115 hitter. mentioned earlier, he has 3 career home runs, none of them against the Reds. He'll be going back to the mound in the 7th, looking to equal his longest outing of the year. Came against the Diamondbacks. Frazier on the edge of the grass will make this play. And that is the 2nd out of the inning. Fox Sports Live will get you caught up on a full night of NHL and NBA playoff action, plus highlights on tonight's MLB games. You can see Fox Sports Live tonight at 11 on Fox Sports 1, simulcast right here on Fox Sports Ohio. We'll show you highlights of that Cardinal win this afternoon against the Cubs. You get to see a preview of that White Sox team that the Reds will play tomorrow. Highlights of that Chicago-Detroit game from earlier today, won by the Tigers 4-1. White Sox team managed by Robin Ventura. So 2 guys who never coached or managed anywhere, or ever, I should say, never managed anywhere before until they managed in the big leagues, going at it tomorrow at U.S. Cellular Field in Chicago. Robin Ventura of the White Sox, Brian Price of the Red Legs. The White Sox won the World Series back in 2005 when they swept the Astros that year. That was under Ozzie Guillen. They've been to the playoffs 1 time since. Ozzie Guillen, remember, left Chicago, went down to Miami, and Ventura replaced him on the south side of Chicago. I noticed some of the highlights that I've seen the last couple of days of the White Sox in that Detroit series. They're wearing some old throwback uniforms. The White Sox were. Not the shorts look of the mid-'70s.
Yeah, you better wait until the middle of the summer to bring the shorts out in the Windy City.
Now, you were playing in those days, but you were not quite yet to the big leagues, I don't think. Were you when they wore the shorts?
No, not in the 70s.
You remember that look, though?
Well, one of the Reds front office advisors and scouts, Mike Squires, was playing for them then.
Yeah.
So we make him relive those short days all the time when we see him.
Do you? Yeah. Nice job by J.J. Hoover in the bottom of the 6th. Summary here in Pittsburgh. Neil Walker's RBI single in the first inning landed Gregory Polanco and gave the Pirates the early advantage. Reds tied it on this ball by Todd Frazier into left field, his 10th of the year, giving him the National League lead in round trippers. And then Pedro Alvarez with this double off the wall in center field produced Andrew McCutchen to the plate, capping off a 2-run bottom of the 5th and giving Pittsburgh a 3-1 lead. Reds inch closer on the run in the 6th inning on the triple by Bird and the ground out by Votto. And that's where we stand into the 7th. 3-2 Pittsburgh. That's tonight's Honda game summary. Jay Bruce to lead it off. 0 for 1 with a walk against his nemesis, A.J. Burnett, tonight.
It's funny, too. You mentioned how Jay Bruce has really struggled against A.J. Burnett. You wouldn't really think that, looking at the way Bruce's style of hitting is, and you have A.J. Burnett with really not a hard fastball anymore to be able to tame Bruce. But Bruce comes into this ballgame batting 111, or make it 102, 3 for 29.
And 0 for 1 tonight.
You know what you don't see a lot of nowadays is hitters making big adjustments in situations where a pitcher's got his number. I mean, Jay Bruce is in the same spot in the batter's box as he always is. Why not maybe just go way up in the front of the box? Give yourself a little different look against Burnett.
Caught that pitch up and away and hit it a long way into left, but Marte will handle it.
I'm not saying I know more about hitting than Don Long. There's no way I even can fill a thimble with that. But, you know, sometimes you just wonder, because I remember, you know, we're talking about back in the days of Three Rivers Stadium. I used to face hitters, and then from game to game, and sometimes even from at bat to at bat, they're in different parts of the batter's box. And you're thinking, well, I got the scouting report on this guy, and now I look at him and he's standing right on top of the plate when 2 innings ago he was, you know, way back in the back of the box. Just a thought.
I guess when you're going as poorly as sometimes a batter is against a pitcher, what do you have to lose, right?
Yeah. Maybe you get into the pitcher's mind a little bit.
Well, did they get into yours when you saw that?
Yeah. And the catcher. I call the catcher out. I say, is this the same guy that hit the 2-run home run off me last time?
Well, I know there's stories out there where a broadcaster got into your head one time in Indianapolis.
Oh, yeah.
One Howard Kellman. He got into your head.
And still does from time to time.
Yes. When he comes up to the ballpark. Hit hard by Negron, and that will get down. It finds Green out in left field. So the Reds have the tying run on here in the top of the 7th as they pick up hit number 6.
Nice contact by Christopher Negron right there. Picks up his first hit. We talk a lot about Burnett and that long career that he's had. And, you know, he turned down more money to go back and play for the Philadelphia Phillies than he did to take from the Pittsburgh Pirates this year. Like, he walked away from about $4 million to get away from Philadelphia to move to the western side of Pennsylvania and play for the Pirates.
I mean, this is a guy who's earned hundreds of millions of dollars in his career.
Yes, absolutely. Over a course of his career, yes. Around 150. He pitched a no-hitter back in 2001 against the San Diego Padres. And it may be one of the more unusual no-hitters ever pitched. He walked 9 batters in that no-hitter. He struck out 7. He did it for the Marlins. And he worked fastballs in and out all night. In fact, he threw 121 fastballs in that game, 6 curves and 1 changeup.
Wow.
And you total them all up, 65 strikes and 63 balls, and that was a no-hitter.
Runner on the move, and this one hit hard but foul by Pena. Negron retreats to the bag. Meanwhile, Skip Schumacher has emerged from the Reds dugout. He's on deck. Further action out in the Cincinnati bullpen. In fact, double barrel action out there. Jumbo Diaz and Kevin Gregg. Bruce flat out to deep left to start the inning. Negron singles to left, putting the tying run aboard. Pena has a hit tonight. He's 1 for 2. Trying to move the runner along. Well, now we're seeing Burnett show a little bit more attention to that runner as it's a tight game late.
Well, he's not throwing over the kind of pickoff throws to pick a runner off. He's just trying to discourage Negron from getting too big of a lead and thinking this may be a count that they'd go on.
Up the middle, second hit of the night by Pena. Negron hustling around second, and he will alight at third, and it is first and third with 1 out. Boy, you got to credit Brian Pena with a great job filling in for Devin Mesoraco behind the plate, particularly on the offensive side.
Well, he really puts the bat on the ball, doesn't he? I mean, he's a guy who I think visibly changes his swing, changes his approach according to the situation and the catcher, and the other opposing pitcher. He gets a pitch up and just tries to line that ball right back through the middle. Negron's going to third base all the way.
So Schumacher is announced for Hoover. A.J. Burnett at only 78 pitches. Still out there. First and third with 1 man out. .167 the average for Schumacher. Still looking for his first RBI, but he is 3 for 10 as a pinch hitter. And 2 for 3 lifetime against Burnett. Trying to get that tying run home. Billy Hamilton waits next.
His strikeout pitch to left-handers is that little breaking ball down and in.
There it is. Schumacher very upset with himself, and that's exactly where Burnett went.
I mean, you really don't have to watch a lot of tape of A.J. Burnett to figure out what he does out there, but he makes it look so tantalizing that I mean, Schumacher's not the only one who's chasing pitches down in the dirt. They all are. That is a huge strikeout.
So now Billy Hamilton has to come through, or A.J. Burnett has to uncork a wild one. Reds down to run 3-2, top of the 7th. Tying run at third, go ahead run at first with 2 out. Billy's 0 for 3 in this game. 0 for 5 lifetime against Burnett.
Well, I'll tell you, it just goes to show you that if you have control of your curveball, you can pitch for a long time.
The biggest jam Burnett faced tonight was in the 4th. Now he's got one here, and he's at a ball and a strike. Gave up the home run ball to Frazier with the help of a double play. Reds left 2 on in that 4th inning, trying to take the lead. Get the 1-out single here by Negron, followed by the base hit to center by Pena. Schumacher struck out as the pinch hitter. Now the onus of this inning rests on the shoulders of Billy Hamilton.
Now I got to figure that Burnett's coming after Hamilton right here, because Marlon Byrd has had a couple of pretty good at bats against him. After striking out the first time, he's walked and then hit a triple, but he's looked good at the plate and he's seeing the ball very well. So You're going to come after Hamilton if you possibly can.
Off the glove of the first baseman, but they will go to second and get a force out. That is a heads-up play right there by Neil Walker. He was not going to get Hamilton at first, but he found Mercer on the bag at second to get the force play. The defending world champion, the San Francisco Giants at Great American Ballpark. All part of Super Saturdays. The first 25,000 fans in attendance will receive a Johnny Bench Stars of the Queen City bobblehead presented by John Morrell. For tickets, you can call 513-381-RED. You can visit select Kroger locations, or you can go to reds.com/tickets. Johnny Bench bobblehead, Saturday, May the 16th. Meanwhile, new pitcher on. Reds are the 6th team for Kevin Gregg in his career. He's never pitched for the Pirates. Becomes the 3rd pitcher of this game for the Redlegs. Not really gotten into a groove yet with this Cincinnati team. He allowed a run on a hit and a walk his last time out 5 days ago down in Atlanta. In fact, he appeared in back-to-back games down there. Games 2 and 3. He gets Neil Walker to lead it off in the bottom of the 7th. Pirates trying to add 2, or at least protect a 1-run lead at 3-2. 8.10 ERA for Kevin Gregg. Gregg appeared on opening day against his Pirates team in relief of Johnny Cueto. His Reds debut, he gave up 2 runs, 2 hits in 2/3 of an inning. That was that 2-run homer to Andrew McCutchen that erased a 2-0 Reds lead. Speaking of, McCutchen is on deck. Gregg, 36 years old, out of Corvallis, Oregon. Oregon State country. Close, but ball 3 there in a full count.
Gregg's a big dude. I mean, he looks like he could have played for Oregon State. He's about 6'5" or 6'6" and goes at least 250.
Reds will have a big chance hoping that they're still down by a run come the 8th inning. They'll have 2, 3, 4. They'll have Bird, Votto, Frazier. Anybody gets on, Phillips. See any action out in that Pirate bullpen. A.J. Burnett, through 7, has thrown 85 pitches. Tony Watson, a left-hander, had been throwing earlier. There he is in the bullpen, but not throwing at this point in time.
Well, that is a whale of an at-bat right there for Neil Walker. Took him 9 pitches, but he eventually worked the walk.
That means Walker's been on 4 times tonight. A single, a walk, a single, a walk. Now it's McCutchen. All he's done lifetime against Greg is go 4 out of 5, including a home run. Doubled back in the 5th. He's 1 for 2 tonight with a walk. Fifth hit and 6 ABs lifetime by McCutchen now against Kevin Gregg, and the Pirates with the first 2 on in the 7th. Reds bullpen quiet. Marte tonight, a sac fly in the 5th, broke the 1-1 tie. Talk about the fact that Kevin Gregg has not been able to get into any sort of a groove yet this year. Not gone more than 2 outings without allowing a run.
Well, Marte's Jim Marte's another guy who has had pretty good success. 2 for 3 against Gregg, both hits home runs.
Ooh, boy. Up the middle, base hit. Marte comes through. Here comes Walker. Throw goes through, and it's 4-2. Walk, hit against Kevin Gregg, and now it's a 2-run Pittsburgh advantage. Both McCutchen and Marte, who have had a lot of success against Gregg, have it here tonight.
They keep on doing what they've done against Kevin Gregg in their career. Not that they've had a lot of at-bats. I mean, 2 for 3 is not a trend, but they continue what they've done there. McCutchen now 5 for 6. Marte now 3 for 4. And what was a 1-run game is now a 2-run game, and the Pirates still do not have an out here in the inning.
Carlos Contreras now starts to throw in the Cincinnati bullpen. Pedro Alvarez, who had a big RBI double back in the 5th, is up there now. Nobody out in the inning. is an interesting stat right now. Pittsburgh 2 for 36 with runners in scoring position during their 5-game losing streak. Tonight they're 3 for 10 at 2 for 36, an 0.56 batting average. They had been 0 for their last 18 in that department during the last 5. 0 for their last, I should say 0 for their last 18 going into tonight, and 2 for their last 36. But tonight 3 for 10. That's the first out of the inning on the strikeout.
Now we'll call this our flamethrower, brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce. 93 miles an hour. Kevin Gregg goes upstairs to retire Pedro Alvarez.
Now if you can get the ground ball and get the double play, you minimize the damage to just the 1 run. Harrison tonight is grounded out, lined out, struck out, making 0 for 3 in this game, 0 for 7 in the series, and 0 for his last 17. We want Josh Stewart to have all the success in the world, but just not against the Reds. Popped it up. Votto will give it a look, but it's out of play. I said Josh Stewart.
You know, I'm sure that Josh is happy that you're recognizing our equipment manager on the road here on this trip.
Of course we mean Josh Harrison. Josh, like, why are you wishing me all the luck in the world?
Well, he is the only equipment man that I know of that routinely and regularly sings the national anthem.
Yes, he does. You're right.
And does a terrific job. And it's always service with a smile with Josh. Can't always say that about Rick Stowe, but you can certainly say that about Josh.
Yeah, so we wish Josh Harrison, the Cincinnati native, all the luck in the world, but just not against the Reds.
Well, especially this weekend, because the Pirates have a big weekend series as the Cardinals come to town.
From 0-2 now to 2-2 to Harrison. Walk to Walker started the inning. McCutchen singled to left. Marte singled into center, bringing home Walker. First out of the inning, the strikeout of Alvarez. Now Harrison. Jordy Mercer, the shortstop, next. Now a full count. Gregg had Harrison 0-2 and loses him. Before the 5 batters that he has faced have reached base. Now the Reds are in a real pickle. Mercer, the batter, with the bases loaded, 1 out. Contreras ready in the Cincinnati bullpen. Two walks, 2 hits in this inning against Kevin Gregg. And a strike. 1-1. Yankee Stadium tonight. An historic ball hit by Alex Rodriguez. Home run number 661 in his career. Came in the third. And he surpasses Willie Mays, who yesterday celebrated a birthday. Today he is surpassed on the all-time home run list.
Isn't there a little controversy in New York about that? And Alex Rodriguez with a bonus that should pay him a lot of money for that home run. The Yankees have said that they will not pay it.
$6.5 million, something like that, for hitting 660. And the Yankees' stance on that is we can pay it if we desire, but it's not mandatory that we pay it.
Oh.
661 puts him now, Rodriguez, in sole possession of fourth place all time on the all-time home run list, behind Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, and now A-Rod. That one bounces in there, and it's a 3-2 count.
Boy, somehow Brian Pena came up with that ball. I don't know how he did it. That ball looked like it bounced in front of the plate, and that was probably a momentary bit of terror on the part of Pena, thinking, oh no, it's not only in the dirt, but it's a breaking ball that's going to hit and spin and go in the opposite direction of the way it was intended to go. And he looks in his glove, and there it is.
Big pitch in this game right here.
I'm guessing fastball if I'm Jordy Mercer. After bouncing a breaking ball at 55 feet.
Pitch count is really mounted in this inning for Greg. He's thrown 30. Still only one out. He and Pena will get together. East Lafani went 5, 3 runs, 6 hits. 3 runs, 7 hits. J.J. Hoover, a perfect 6th inning. Kevin Gregg has been the story more often than not this year, having a tough time of it on the mound. Strike 3 call. Right at the knees. Mercer laid off, and Angel Hernandez rings him up. Good pitch by Greg there.
Excellent pitch. Right at the bottom of the strike zone. He came right back into the same spot. Held for an extra moment by Brian Pena. It was an ugly looking at bat, but he ended up getting the guy that he needed to get. Angel Hernandez re-emphasizing to Jordy Mercer. That was a strike.
So now Chris Stewart, 1 for 3 tonight. And he gets a head ball 1. You can count yourself incredibly fortunate. The Reds get through this inning with just the 1 run being scored against them. Stewart's the 7th man to bat in the inning. They've scored, have the Pirates once. And now they'll score more. Single in the center by Stewart. 1 run will score. 2nd run will score. McCutchen and Marte touch the dish. Been a 3-run inning, and it is now 6-2 Pirates.
Didn't hit it hard, but got it in the right spot. 2nd hit of the night for Chris Stewart. As he drops that in shallow left center field, a couple of runs come around to score, and the Pirates are widening the gap.
Ryan Price to the mound. Kevin Gregg to the showers. Reds make a pitching change. Carlos Contreras will enter the game. This is our Skyline Chili called in the bullpen.
broadcast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, the bottom of the 7th inning has been a good one for the Pirates. They've scored 3 times, all against Kevin Gregg, who leaves the game. And Carlos Contreras, who started the year at Louisville, comes into this game. Two on with 2 outs. Corey Hart pinch hits for A.J. Burnett. We've seen Hart appear in each of the first 2 games of this series. On Tuesday, hit into a double play as a pinch hitter. Last night, singled as a pinch hitter. Talked earlier about the fact that A.J. Burnett, who goes 7, allows 2 runs on 7 hits, had not gotten much run support at all. Well, tonight, the Pirates produced 6 runs for him. That's more runs than in Burnett's first 5 starts combined. He likes the crooked numbers on the board. In fact, twice tonight. 2 in the 3rd and 3 here in the 7th. Hart been a good pinch hitter this year, including a pinch hit grand slam. Jared Hughes had been up earlier, is up again throwing in the Pittsburgh bullpen. He worked an inning on Tuesday night. That's the final out of the inning. 3 strikeouts in the inning for Reds pitching, but 3 runs for the Pirates.
Now check out Reds Live. The pregame edition is brought to you by Ray St. Clair Roofing. First look at the lineups, features, and so much more. It is Reds Live, the pregame edition, and we will be on the air from the Windy City tomorrow night. And it's the first interleague matchup of the season. Reds versus White Sox, 7th series meeting in the regular season. The Reds are just 3-14 all time against the Sox. And that most famous World Series back in 1919, it was a best of 9. Then in which the Reds defeated the White Sox 5-3, and only 7 players on the Reds have played at U.S. Cellular Field, none as a Red. It has been a while, as you guys talked about earlier in the game. It's been a while since they've been to the South Side, but we'll be there tomorrow night.
Yeah, looking forward to that second trip of the year to Chicago. Everything will be the same except when we get off the bus at the ballpark. It won't be Wrigley Field. We're going in another direction. One of the ballparks that, by the way, Jim Day has not worked in. Worked in almost every other one, right, Jim?
That is correct. I will, let's see, we were talking about this the other day. We went through the whole league. It will only leave Minnesota because there's a new ballpark, and I have not had the opportunity to go to Target Field. And the other one being Texas. When the Reds went down there, I was not on that trip, so I have not been to Arlington or Minnesota. Those are the only 2 left.
Well, we'll see what we can do to take care of that here in the next couple of years.
See if we can work out a trade.
A couple of changes for the Pirates. Sean Rodriguez has taken over at first base for Pedro Alvarez, and the new pitcher is Jared Hughes. Hughes worked an inning, allowed no runs, 2 hits on Tuesday. New man on the mound for the Pirates in this game. On the year, he's at 2.63 in terms of an ERA. 16th appearance of the year, tops on this Pirates team. Straight up if you're scoring. Rodriguez in the 5 spot, Hughes in the 9. Marlon Byrd tonight, a triple, a walk, a strikeout, 1 for 2. Reds now down 4 at 6-2 in the 8th. Kevin Gregg's final line, 2/3 of an inning, 3 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. And Travers came on, struck out the pinch hitter Hart to end the inning. Line drive in and out of the glove of Hughes, and not in time to first base. Boy, he just hit that ball as square as you can hit it right there.
Boy, you're not kidding. I think Hughes was shell shocked.
Yeah.
Couldn't find the baseball. Wasn't sure whether he should be prone or not after this. I mean, that ball went right into the glove. Looking all around, and Marlon Byrd busting it down the line, gets an infield single. Well, that's justice there.
Well, thank goodness that ball was low in terms of trajectory like it was. I don't know if that hit him in the glove or hit him in the wrist. Trainer's gone out there.
If it hit him in the wrist, they'd be carrying him off right now. That could be a little unsettling. This might be an interesting inning right here. The Pirates do not have anybody else up and warming up right now. Here's another guy capable of coming right back through the box with it.
You aren't kidding. 4 straight games now that Byrd has played in which he's had a multi-hit game. Slow to get started as he was in April. Boy, he had really cranked it up in this first week of May. Joey tonight has grounded out 3 times, once into a double play. Produced a run in the 6th inning on his ground ball. And he strikes out here. Take a look at our Miller time moment of the night as Todd Frazier walks to the plate. This occurred back in the 4th inning against A.J. Burnett. It tied the game at 1. It gave Todd Frazier the National League home run lead at 10. Our Miller time moment of the night. Ball 1 low. So we talk about Frazier hitting 10 home runs now this year. And look at this in terms of how quickly it took him to get there this year versus how quickly it took him to get there in other years. Last year, almost 2 months. 2 years ago, half the season. This year, 27 games. You say, but this is the 28th game. Well, he's played 27. Bird being held over there at first by the new first baseman Sean Rodriguez. Frazier buckled a bit on that breaking ball.
Well, they're really trying to stay inside on Todd Frazier, making sure that he doesn't get his arms out there and that bat extended out into a powerful part of the zone. Coming right back in there again.
Hitting on a 2-2 pitch. Frazier takes one for the team, and the Reds have 2 on with 1 out, meaning the tying run. With Phillips walking to the plate, will move on deck, and Jay Bruce right in the left hip.
Yeah, just kind of got on the side of that baseball, and it really ran in on him, and no way that Frazier's getting out of the way of that one.
Here comes Clint Hurdle. Left-hander had been throwing in the bullpen. Tony Watson was up earlier. He's going to enter this game. So Hughes faces 3 batters, retires 1 of them, and exits here in the top of the 8th. Pitching change for the Pirates. Hitters in the news today in baseball. Bryce Harper for the Nationals, second youngest player to hit 3 home runs in his first 3 at-bats of a game. The Dodgers' Jock Peterson, 7 of his last 8 hits have been long balls, and Eddie Rosario becomes the 29th player in Major League Baseball history to homer on the first pitch of his career. Earlier today for the Twins against the A's, and Scott Kazmir, the last one to do it prior to today, as this ball hit to left field by Phillips right at Marte for the second out. The last player to do it is the man who just caught that ball, Starling Marte. His first at bat, first pitch of his career in Houston for the Pirates, July 26, 2012. He hits a home run ball. Now, we mentioned there were 29. One of those 29 wears a Reds uniform today. Not as a player, but as a bench coach, Jay Bell. There's Jay. He did it for the Cleveland Indians on September the 29th, 1986 in Minnesota against a Hall of Famer, and ironically enough, a guy that he had been traded for, Bert Blyleven. Interesting twist on that. The big curveball man, Bert
Boy, you're not kidding about that. What a terrific pitcher Bert Blyleven was. Hey, speaking of home runs, about the day that Yasmani Grandal had today for the Los Angeles Dodgers. 4 for 4, 2 home runs, 8 runs batted in. That's a pretty good day at the yard.
Former #1 Reds pick, involved in that big deal that brought Latos from San Diego to Cincinnati. Latos' career now has spanned the country, hasn't he? San Diego, Cincinnati, and now Miami. Grandal's went the other way, played collegiately at Miami. Now he ends up in San Diego. And the Dodgers. Off the foot of Bruce. Angel Hernandez signals foul ball. Tony Watson worked here last night. He worked the 9th inning, retired the Reds in order, did not face Bruce. Finding the right foot, top of the right foot. Base hit by Negron back in the 7th, his only hit of the night. He's on deck.
Well, Bruce has handled a lot of left-handers from the perspective of hitting home runs. Watson, not one of them.
And he strikes out. That ends the inning. Reds leave on 2 and trail by 4 to the bottom of the 8th. been brought to you by your local Toyota dealers, proud sponsor of the Cincinnati Reds. For the Reds, only 1 inning's worth of at-bats to get back in this game. First order of business is to hold the Pirates down here in the bottom of the 8th. Carlos Contreras struck out the pinch hitter Corey Hart to end the bottom of the 7th, and he goes back to work here in the bottom of the 8th. Polanco, Walker, and McCutchen. Polanco tonight 1 for 3 with a walk.
You know, with the way the bullpen has really been struggling on and off, the Reds have, you know, this is an opportunity. If you're Carlos Contreras, you're thinking, hey, here I am in the big leagues. Some of those other guys that they did all the talking about in spring training are in the minor leagues. I'm here, and I can seize a position right now. Now, granted, the numbers that he put up last year aren't exactly startling, but most of the bad numbers, the bad earned run average he had was due to a couple of really bad outings. One in which he gave up 5 runs, another he gave up a couple of runs.
And he did get off to a good start at AAA this year.
And that's why he's here. He's got a live arm. Carlos, it's all about finding that strike zone.
Which he does not do to start the bottom of the 8th against Polanco.
Well, I mean, if you ever need motivation, this is the opportunity for Contreras.
No question. Neil Walker been on 4 times tonight. 2 singles, 2 walks. He scored twice.
Right now it just looks like Contreras is a little amped up. His body's ahead of his arm. Everything he's missing is up. And he's a guy that really needs to live down the zone. In fact, he's got nice running action on his fastball when he gets it down right below the knees.
Pretty good sound on that ball off the bat of Walker, but Billy Hamilton going to run it down in left center field for the first out here in the 8th. Both bullpens are busy. Burke Badenhop throwing in the Reds pen. Mark Melanson in the Pirate pen. There's Badenhop. And right above him and just behind a little bit is Melanson. Bullpens right next to each other out in left center field. Melanson comes on. It would not be a save situation with the game at 6-2. Now McCutchen, a pair of hits tonight and a walk, so he's been on 3 times. Runner going. And the throw is way late, and a stolen base for Polanco.
Never had a chance right there. I mean, Brian Pena could have had a howitzer on his shoulder and not been able to throw out Polanco. That's how big a lead and jump that Polanco had.
Reds caught him earlier. That was in the 3rd inning. He gets number 9 right there. Broken bat, base hit into left by McCutchen. Gonna send the runner. The throw is offline, and it is 7-2. Pittsburgh has scored 5 runs in its last 5 games. They've scored 7 here tonight.
Well, the one way you could say that they were due for a breakout, they're getting it tonight. They've hit the ball hard. They've also found some holes. And Polanco's just too quick for Marlon Byrd to be able to throw him out.
You're a Pirate fan. You're happy to see McCutchen with a 3-hit night, that's for sure. The Pirates have the Cardinals coming in this weekend. They had those heartbreaking 3 one-run games, all extra inning games last weekend in St. Louis. All Pirate losses, all coming on walk-off Cardinal hits. Only this series against the Reds separates those 2 teams from getting back together again, beginning tomorrow night here. Contreras walked the leadoff man in this inning, then got an out on a fly ball, but a stolen base by Polanco and a run producing single by McCutchen has given Pittsburgh now a 5-run lead. Looked like he may have gone, but the appeal to first and Scott Berry, they say no on Starling Marte. Double play ball. Phillips, Negron and Votto. 4-6-3 puts an end to the bottom of the 8th inning. tomorrow in Cincinnati Reds country, because why? Homer Bailey will undergo Tommy John surgery tomorrow. Dr. Timothy Kremchek will perform that. He'll miss the rest of this season. Hopefully be back in the early part of next year. Of course, he missed the end of last year after that flexor mass surgery in his right elbow area. He only made 2 starts this year. We certainly wish the best of luck to Homer Bailey tomorrow after in the surgery and in his recovery.
Well, we wish him a lot of luck. Of course, we wish Dr. Kremchek a lot of luck too. Very capable. He does so many of those Tommy John surgeries, and the success rate nowadays is well over 90%. That you come back not only as good, but sometimes even stronger. So good luck to Homer Bailey on that. Also, good luck to another Reds pitcher having surgery tomorrow.
Yeah, Matt McGill, a right-hander who was acquired from the Dodgers in the Chris Heisey deal in the offseason, also undergoing Tommy John tomorrow. And recently, Donald Lutz underwent Tommy John. Outfielder from Louisville, the AAA team down there. So a massive Tommy Johns recently for the Reds. Mark Melancon is the new pitcher on for the Pirates, becoming their 4th of this game. Non-save situation for Melancon with a 4.76 ERA this year. This is his 13th appearance. Trying to get the Pirates through this 7-2 lead in the 9th. Trying to snap a 5-game losing streak. Trying to get their first win of the year against the Reds. Starters are the pitchers of record. That means A.J. Burnett looking for his first win. Anthony DeSclafani would be the loser in this game, barring a big uprising here in the 9th by Cincinnati. Negron tonight has a hit. He's 1 for 3. He has started, of course, at short all 3 games of this series due to the wrist and finger injury endured on Sunday in Atlanta to Zach Cozart. But in talking to Cozart prior to the game, it's going to be a second hit of the night for Negron as he sliced that thing way to the left of Sean Rodriguez at first base. A leadoff base hit. In talking with Cozart prior to the game in the clubhouse, he had much better movement. He said today he was going to be involved all the way in batting practice, meaning hitting in the cage, taking ground balls, making throws. Hopefully coming out of that feeling good. If that's the case, I don't know about tomorrow, but that would lead you to believe that he could potentially play in Chicago.
Well, you certainly hope so, because right now the Reds are a little bit hamstrung at playing a player or two short defensively anyway. Of course, you still have Mesoraco, who is projected to be the DH over the winter. Here's Zach taking some ground balls, and looks like he passed the eyeball test to me.
Good to see him swinging. Good to see him fielding those balls, because yesterday Jim Day had reported that he had tried to put the glove on his left hand and couldn't get the glove on, so he just threw it aside and made a couple of throws, and that was it. Big difference in 24 hours for Zach. Mesoraco is on deck. He will bat for Carlos Contreras. To the mound. Melancon going to go to second. They get an out. They go to first. They get another. I didn't think they were going to get 2 on that. In fact, I wasn't sure they were going to get the out at second base, but they do. It ends up being a 1-6-3 double play.
I think Melancon threw that ball to second base harder than he's thrown his pitches to the plate. I mean, he really unloaded on this, knowing that he had to hurry. Looked like he just momentarily bobbled that ball, couldn't get the handle on it, and then Mercer turns it quickly, and they get Brian Pena by a step. So
Mesoraco bats for Contreras with 2 men out in the 9th. Devin, of course, has not started a game since April the 11th. He has been used exclusively since that time as a pinch hitter. He's 0 for 4 with 3 walks. He has only 2 hits this year and 25 at bats. Biggest crowd of the series here tonight, over 27,000. Big series coming up for this guy, Chris, in Chicago, Devin Mesoraco.
He's been tabbed as the designated hitter.
At least for tomorrow night, and then we'll see how he comes through.
Well,
that.
the Reds are going to face 2 lefties on Saturday and Sunday.
Evan has said he'll try one game and see how he comes through in terms of how he feels, as to whether he can do it in back-to-back games. A strike and a full count. High fly ball, deep left field, to the wall is Marte, and he makes the catch. Mesoraco making a bid for a pinch hit home run, thwarted by Marte, and the